Welcome to the No Bull Political Arena with your hosts, Sophia Nelson, Bill O'Reilly, Brian Mistro, and TJ McCormick. It's real voices, raw politics, and no bullshit. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the No Bull Political Arena. This is Brian Mistro. I'm here with TJ McCormick tonight. And we have a special guest, Rachel Savage. And I'd like to reach out to Rachel and ask her to give a little bit of her background and what she does professionally, because we've been really excited about having her on and talking about some of the things that she's seen in ICE and with some of her clients and so forth. So welcome on, Rachel. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, if you don't mind, share with the audience just a little bit about who you are and your background and so forth.
Of course, and thank you so much for having me. As you said, my name is Rachel Savage. I am an immigration attorney based out of Baltimore, Maryland. I worked for the DOJ for several years before transitioning into private practice, and now I work in private practice representing non-citizens in their immigration cases.
Oh, okay. Good. So non-citizens, is that mostly the folks, I guess, that ICE are rounding up, or these people that are applying for immigration, or how does that work?
Yeah, so my clientele typically involve people who are in removal proceedings. That means that the government has already alleged that they're not allowed to be in this country, and they are fighting those charges, explaining why they need to be here. Given kind of the nature of the political climate right now, I've got a lot more clients who are kind of on the beginning side of things. So we're seeing a lot more bond issues, detention issues coming into play than actual removal proceedings right now. But that kind of is just a sign of the current times.
Do you find yourself, how often do you find yourself taking on clients, or how many clients come to you, or if any, who are here and either married, pursuing a green card, married with a green card, pursuing, the next steps in the proper course of events? How many times does that happen for you?
Yeah, so most of the time when clients come to me, all the time when clients come to me, it's because they're seeking to regularize their immigration status, right? So it's either starting that initial, let's say, an application for some kind of visa, or you are in proceedings already. Maybe you've never applied for anything, and you need to start getting that application in place. Then they would come to me. So I don't have an exact figure of like.
Oh, I just meant like, how, so I guess, so my other question is, so you said that, people who the country has, the US has determined they're not supposed to be here. So wait, does that mean that like they've been approached, or because I just want to make sure that I'm clear, that the audience is clear, is that, that you're being engaged or put on retainer by people with means who want to do it the right way, or are you assigned to, or do people come find you like they would a criminal attorney if somebody was accused of a crime, found themselves arrested? Is that a version of what you do as well? So in other words, I'm wondering that part where you said they're not here, that they're not supposed to be here, or I'm paraphrasing, unfortunately. Help me clarify that part of your practice.
This might be a bit of a this might be better for a deeper dive. The answer to your question is yes, and right. So there are
Sure.
kinds of ways you can kind of engage with the immigration system. There's one way that's affirmative, and that's filing before an agency called USCIS.
Right.
I have, let's say, I don't know, 50% of my clients are in that category. And then you have defensive immigration proceedings, where let's say you cross the border, you've been here several years, you haven't ever applied for any kind of status, the government has found you, and therefore you're deemed removable by the government.
Gotcha.
Those people are called defensive applicants. So affirmative applicants file before USCIS, defensive before the immigration court.
Okay. Because, so how does, And by the way, I'm not building up to anything. I swear to God, I am genuinely, I hope it's clear that I'm genuinely curious. So how is it that the government, lack of a better term, finds them? How does the government find these clients of yours? How are they found out, or how do they come to be
Yeah.
in the eyes of the government? How do they find?
Yeah. I just want to say I love your curiosity. I really appreciate it because I feel like
Sure,
not
sure.
many people are that interested in this. But
Mhm.
um, in prior administrations, what you would see typically is if an individual has an interaction with the criminal justice system, ICE would flag them and they would have something called an immigration detainer placed on
Mhm.
them.
Right,
And then with that immigration detainer, they would then be detained and placed into immigration proceedings.
right.
These days, what I am seeing so much more is traffic stops, individuals driving to
Mhm.
work, individuals at a gas station, individuals at a Home Depot. They are being approached, asked to state their name, asked whether they have status. Um, Sometimes these engagements are less civil and a little more volatile, let's say.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Um,
Confrontational, all the above. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
yes, yes, a little more confrontational. So
Mm,
basically, what I'm seeing these days are people being stopped living their lives.
mm.
Hmm. Okay.
And then finally, and by the way, again, it's
No,
so
this is
rare.
great, TJ.
It's
And
so rare that people have an opportunity to have a,
absolutely. And incidentally, TJ has been through some of this. TJ's wife is a UK
British.
citizen. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, or actually a United States citizen now, but yeah, from
Oh,
the
okay. My
UK.
bad. My bad. Yeah.
No, 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 no. I may not have made that clear at some point. But so here's the thing. As you're talking, because I'm clearly against. I am a conservative. I'm clearly against sanctuary policies for a number of reasons, not just because I don't want them in my country. And as such, Rachel, this occurred to me. This question occurred to me while you were talking, and I think because we've got the air out of the balloon, there's a very civil conversation, and I think my mind is, and I'm also a talk radio host, so you can imagine very often I'm in front of a microphone and there's a heightened sort of a thing. And so my mind was actually able to sort of relax and think differently as you were talking. And I'm wondering this about sanctuary policies. Ready? This is, I don't know if you've ever been asked this because I never thought it before, so who knows? I wonder, given how long somebody who is in the criminal justice system, who is an undocumented uh, migrant, I wonder if sanctuary policies, in some cases, don't actually work to the detriment of some of your clients in the sense that they end up here for so much longer. So much water has gone under the bridge. They may potentially be committing more crimes if they are lawbreakers beyond the civil law that they broke when they came in the country undocumented or didn't report for their first couple of court appearances. Do, do you see the math? I'm kind of one, and I've never thought this before. It never ever occurred to me before. But I'm wondering, while these sanctuary policies, they sort of keep that ball in the air. They don't allow the governments, these county, state, or local governments, to share information with the federal authorities. Therefore, these people are here longer. More water. Again, I'm not. I don't want to repeat myself too much, but just for at the risk of repeating myself one more time, so much more time goes by. Therefore, they're here longer. There's a bigger burden behind them, and now they're finally in front of a judge after, say, a year, and after 3 years instead of a year, maybe the first time they were picked up. I'm wondering if some of your clients wouldn't have benefited from finding themselves in front of a judge or in an immigration procedure sooner before A, more time goes by that they're illegal, and B, potentially, if they're recidivists, more crimes are committed. Do you get the spirit of my
Yeah,
question?
but
I
Or is
get
wasn't
the
it?
not?
spirit of the question, and that is a really interesting question. And I think I have to respond first by saying, the term sanctuary city is really a misnomer. There is no sanctuary for people. Sure,
I
you can eliminate 287G agreements between
mhm.
ICE and local government, um, but that doesn't really limit the executive power that comes into play when you see the immigration system, because all of that comes out from under the executive.
Mhm.
Um, obviously the criminal justice system is part of the judicial branch, and that is a whole other, topic of division of powers. But to answer your question, yeah, sometimes it is better to have people in front of a judge faster, but not every person fits into the same box. And there are so many variations of individuals who are coming here for so many different reasons, that it's almost next to impossible to determine whether, it's better for one person to get in front of a judge before
Sure.
another. For just one
That's why
example,
I say some clients. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
sure. For one example, there's a kind of relief from removal. So if you're in removal proceedings, the government's
Right.
saying you need to be deported. There's something called cancellation of removal for certain non-permanent residents. This is a
Okay.
pathway to citizenship. And
Right.
this allows people who have been here for 10 years or more, who have United States citizen or lawful permanent resident family members. They don't have any disqualifying crimes. They merit discretion. Those kind of people are then able to get a pathway to citizenship. You
Right.
can't apply for that kind of relief unless you are before a judge.
Gotcha.
So in
So
some instances, yes, it's better to have people before a judge sooner. And in some instances, even in my cases, we'll file a motion to advance a hearing, to get them before the judge sooner. But in other cases, the kind of urgency of the system really hurts.
Brian, you had a
So,
question?
yeah, so I do, and I've got a whole lot of questions actually, but I want to go back to that one. Um, so what I've read in the news, on both sides of the news, both conservative and liberal news, is that, there's many instances to where people are following the rules. They're checking in with the judge, they're doing the processes that you described, and then ICE is sitting there waiting for them outside of the courtroom. And I've
Yeah.
seen videos of these, and as soon as they come out doing what they're supposed to do, they snatch them, handcuff them, and they're out.
Yeah.
That's
So
tough. It's
have
tough
you
to see
seen
that.
that?
It's
Have you
tough.
seen that? Or is that only in your
Yeah.
description of what you're saying? Is that only because this person is a murderer or is committed a
No.
violent crime? So that is not the
No.
case. Okay.
So just to give you one example, we all kind of talk about asylum. We talk about asylum seekers.
Right.
Generally, the understanding is, if people are being persecuted in their home country, they can come here. There's another kind of relief that's analogous to asylum. It's called withholding of removal. It's a little bit different, but it's based on the same thing. You were persecuted in your home country, you come here for protection. When someone is granted withholding of removal, that does not actually get them any kind of immigration benefit. All it does is it says, we're taking away your removal order. You can exist in this country, but you don't have any kind of status. So what can happen is you go into your individual hearing, you have your individual hearing, you win your withholding of removal case. But because you still don't have status, ICE can come detain you after the hearing. So even if you go through the process and you win, you can still be detained. And this is an even bigger problem because now we're seeing something called third country removals, where ICE is saying, okay, you have been granted protection from your home country. We can't send you back to your home country. Therefore, we're going to send you to a different country to which you've never been before. So these are the kind of policies that the detention initiative is really spurring. It's part of these third country removals where, like, I have clients who are from Nigeria who are being ordered removed to Ecuador. They've never been to Ecuador.
They probably can't speak Spanish.
Probably can't speak Spanish in most instances. It's pretty wild. But yeah, so like even if you win your immigration case, you can still be detained and you can still be removed depending on kind of just the whims of the executive at this point.
Now,
Do you find that? Oh, go ahead, Brian.
no, I was just going to ask. So, is this new to this administration, or is this how Obama did it and Trump one did it and then Joe Biden did it, and this is just how it's been working for decades?
In the case of third country removals, those are exceedingly rare. We almost never saw them until around August of last year.
But they were law.
Technically, it was permissible. There is a statute. There are 6 designations that you have to go down. The last designation is third country. So it's the least preferred according to Congress's drafting of the immigration.
Least preferred, but it's within the law. It's legal. It's been legal for, it sounds like, decades.
Well, not decades. So there are new things called, Immigration law is very complex.
Sure, sure.
There are something
No,
called
no, yeah.
asylum cooperative agreements. And within the first 6 months of the Trump administration, they'd established, I believe it's 12 asylum cooperative agreements with other countries, where if you
Hmm,
have an individual who's seeking asylum in
Hmm.
the United States, let's say they're from Honduras, the United States has an asylum cooperative agreement with Guatemala. So the United States is then sending people who are people from Honduras seeking asylum in the United States to Guatemala to seek asylum in Guatemala. And sorry, go ahead.
no, no, no. Well, because just to, it also I think there could be semantics at play too, and I think when it comes to the term sanctuary, I think you could find the right you could find conservatives in America perhaps overusing sanctuary with that may be a misnomer in some instances depend some statutes, one size doesn't fit all when it comes to that sort of legislation, I imagine. And similarly, growing up being very old, a very old man, I grew up and I remember one time driving into Canada and seeing and being driving over the border and going inside to present my stuff, and I remember seeing somebody ask for asylum. I was about 22 years old. It was fascinating. It was 1990 something. And this person at the Canadian border was like throwing themselves at the mercy of the border patrol in Canada,
Hmm.
asking for asylum. And it was like a Russian person. And it was, I mean, so asylum seems to also potentially maybe have some semantics attached to it as well. There is certainly a very sympathetic connotation to the term asylum. And I can't help but think that there is some conflation happening, because I hear asylum all the time
Hmm.
in almost every, especially when it comes to certain foreign media, the BBC. It's almost now immigrant is asylum seeker. I mean, one is the other. It's become Kleenex. Every tissue is a Kleenex. It seems every migrant is an asylum seeker in some corners of the media. Is there not some conflation? Do people not invoke the word asylum because it helps? I mean, and also,
Yeah.
are we not assigning what's oppression? Are we assigning just not
I
being able to live a nice life as oppression?
No. So there's a very specific legal standard for what meets the definition of persecution.
Hmm.
In order for someone to have experienced persecution, first they have to experience harm sufficient to rise to the level of persecution. It depends on what jurisdiction you're in. In
Mm,
most jurisdictions, this has to be more than a death threat. In my circuit, in the Fourth Circuit, it can be credible death threats.
mm.
Other
Hmm.
places, it's beatings, and from there, serious injury, things like that. So first, persecutory harm. Second,
Okay.
that harm has to occur on account of a protected ground. Protected grounds are race, religion, nationality, political opinion, and membership in a particular social group. If you're targeted for a reason that's not one of those covered reasons, you don't get asylum. The third
Wow.
element is that the government has to be unwilling or unable to control your persecutor. That means if your persecutor is a private actor, the government has to be unwilling to actually protect you from that individual. So when we talk about asylum, it is actually extremely, extremely technical. And we
But
throw
also
around,
sounds kind of broad, technical but broad. It sounds like that's a pretty wide net.
yeah, so it's funny because asylum law is mostly built out through case law. So
Mm. Ah,
the
okay.
US circuit courts really speak to those issues. The INA is surprisingly vague when it comes to what actually amounts to persecution. So most of this has been built out through a body of case law.
Interesting.
Amazing. So what I'm hearing here is that there is a process in place if somebody comes over. TJ said, and I think he's got a point, because those of us that don't have your background would say, okay, I just come to the border. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm going to claim asylum. Now I get in. But that's not necessarily the case. So
Not at
they
all the
have to go
case.
through a process that you're saying to qualify for that asylum, or
Yes.
they're removed. Is that correct?
Are they considered an asylum seeker while we're establishing whether or not they qualify for asylum?
If you submit an application for asylum, you're an asylum seeker. In order
Boom.
to receive asylum, you have to submit an application.
That's a
So
bit of a boom. That's a bit of a boom in
Well,
the
it's
in the sense that you look in the sense that if you come in and you know that as soon as you file for asylum, you have a sympathetic moniker attached to your case.
Would you
That's
say
pretty
sympathetic, or
broad.
would you say you're going to have to qualify, and it's going to take some time to
And
qualify
as
for
you
that
do that, as you
asylum?
wander the country, you're not just a migrant, you're an asylum seeker, and you're going to be referred to as an asylum seeker. And you're going to have people present you to a court or a third party or a nonprofit as an asylum seeker.
What are you taking issue with? Sorry,
The
I just want to be clear.
because I just think that it's that the term and the status of asylum seeker is because of all the things that are attached with the term asylum. You just ran down the litany of truly compelling things about somebody seeking asylum, as opposed to someone who, as honorable as it is seeking a better life, financial way of life. All of those things are honorable things to seek, especially if you have children and a family and you want to be. I get it. I get it. I get it. I'm just saying, while
Yeah, but I'm going to go down a little bit of a tangent. I mean, it's so sorry. I don't know how we went down this rabbit hole, but I'm going to push back
I think it's a
because
valuable rabbit hole. I think people don't hear this stuff very
yeah,
often.
but I'm going to push back because the way that you fix that, okay, is that you have a system, a immigration system, whether it be asylum or through a green card or whatever that system is, that somebody comes in, they claim asylum, that's fine. You have a legal process that's in place that processes it that quickly. Okay, so
100%.
so if
100%.
so they're not
Absolutely.
here
Path to
for
citizenship.
5 years,
I am all about a path to
and
citizenship.
and so I'm probably a little bit more liberal on this stuff than
Well, let
TJ
me
is,
just,
but it's I'm just saying that
you know,
we have to fix the system.
have to fix the system. We have to take care of the people that we absolutely. I think there are definitely people that are here, and God, you hate to be a cliche or be trite, but yes, there are people who have been living here for 15, 20 years. They have small businesses. They pay their tax. Yes, 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 yes. Ad infinitum. Those people need a path to citizenship. Yes,
Okay,
100%.
so I'm gonna switch over. So Rachel,
Actually, wait,
some
do me one favor. Do me one favor, because I won't be able to sleep tonight unless I ask this. Please forgive me. But on the subject of the semantics, um, you can understand why people, or can you understand why people would refer to legislation or policy that limits the amount of information that any level of government would share with the federal authorities as some sort of asylum, because or some sort of asylum, excuse me, some sort of sanctuary, because the difference between them walking out of, say, a county jail, or them being delivered directly to federal authorities within the county jail, for example, um, there's a difference. There is a difference. One feels like that guy just got protected. He's That sounds like he just got some sanctuary by being able to walk out of that jail and go back to his apartment, as opposed to being handed over to federal authorities.
Yeah, I
Um,
think ICE can still put a detainer on you regardless of whether your local government cooperates under the
mhm,
287G agreements. So that
mhm,
nothing is precluding ICE from putting detainers on
mhm.
individuals who are in state custody.
Because we'll move on. I'll just tell you why I have a bee in my bonnet about this particular thing, is because um, politicians have to be elected officials need to be careful of how they couch these things and tout these things, because when they sell these pieces of legislation to the voters and to their legislatures, and they do it under the auspices of, ICE is evil, immigration laws are oppressive, et cetera, et cetera. It sounds like they want to, and I live in a town of Somers, and we've had one murder here in the last 10 years. And that one murder was of a 16-year-old. And it was committed by a guy from Chile who was here. He had been deported, came back in, and was picked up for assault. Nothing ever happened. The feds never found out that they had him in a local town. And then he was in county jail because he had then been picked up for DUI. Killed a 16-year-old about 2 years ago. So
Okay.
Well,
that's I'm always going
yeah,
to
but
be
that
in my
sounds more
bonnet.
circumstantial than
I
anything.
I'm
yeah.
sorry, circumstantial. The guy should have not been here in the first. You understand why
I'm
people
not.
see those kinds of crimes as being completely preventable? If the human being wasn't here to commit that crime, it was preventable. I think that's why people get
Yeah, no, 100%. If humans didn't exist, crime wouldn't exist. That's about the same.
right ish.
Well,
But
so
go ahead.
so uh, so what I want to do is I want to pivot to one thing real quickly. So somebody comes in, they're now your client, okay? They've been detained by ICE. They are putting to a holding facility. What is that holding facility like?
In Maryland, things are a little different than other states because Maryland, the Maryland state legislature has said that there can be no federal contract detention facilities in Maryland. So what that means is that Maryland does not have a detention center the way, let's say, Virginia has Farmville, Pennsylvania has Moshannon. We don't have those detention centers. So what ICE has done is converted the basement of 31 Hopkins Plaza. This is the Fallon Federal Building in the middle of downtown Baltimore. They have made the basement into what they are terming the Baltimore Hold Room. The Baltimore hold room is not meant to hold people for more than 72 hours. That said, I've had clients who have been in there for weeks at a time.
Mm.
I was down there yesterday visiting 4 clients, and I was informed again for the millionth time in the last year, people are not getting enough water. They're getting 3 8-ounce bottles of water a day. People are not getting appropriate food. They're getting Pop-Tarts, seeds, and a microwave burrito. People are being denied access to their medication, even when relatives bring their prescription medication in prescription bottles. People appear to me when I meet them in the attorney room, bruised and bloody. There are not hygiene facilities because this is an office building and it's not built or meant to accommodate or house individuals for any kind of extended periods of time. And when I went yesterday, I also learned that ICE is no longer giving out detained individuals' properties to family members, which you could do previously. You came, showed your ID, and you could get your loved one's property back: cell phone, car keys, credit cards, whatever you needed. The second thing, they're no longer giving out A numbers. Every person who's picked up by ICE is issued something called an alien registration number,
Yep.
an
Yep.
A number. The way you find these individuals after ICE transfers them from one place, let's say if they're in the Baltimore hold room, they go to Adelanto, California, because ICE can transfer you anywhere across the country. The way you find these people is with their A numbers. Without giving family members the A numbers of their loved ones, these people cannot
Hmm.
track where in the country their family members are.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Those are just some. I have such a soapbox I can go off on this.
No,
Is
no.
there is there a movement to petition Maryland to open up a facility to get off their high
Yeah, is it
horse?
Maryland's
And
fault or the
sounds like
government's
it's
fault?
Maryland's fault,
So this is actually a really interesting
the Democrat
topic in
governor
the
of Maryland.
immigration. No, so this is an interesting topic in the immigration community in Maryland because the bill was called Dignity Not Detention, and on its face it looked really
Wow.
good,
And look at the
right?
situation those people are in.
So
That sucks.
now,
Go ahead, sorry.
because we don't have detention centers in Maryland itself, individuals are transferred to other jurisdictions, basically, to be transferred.
Hmm.
Now, I, as an attorney in Maryland, can represent an individual in an immigration court anywhere in the country because it's a federal system.
Mhm.
However, when you move someone across the country, and let's say you don't have an A number, it's very, very easy to lose track of that person, to not
Sure.
be able to find that
Hmm.
person. And I'll note that the locator that ICE has to be able to locate people, they're required to update it every 8 hours. They do not. I cannot tell you how many times I've had a client call me from California and I look at the locator and it says that they're in Louisiana.
Wow.
So what is and I know we're running short on time here, but what is the solution to this? I mean, you're in the middle of this process and we're a political talk show. Um, what do you see as the solution to all of this? Is it federal legislation? Is it state legislation? I mean, is it people in the streets,
Yeah.
rioting? I mean, how does this process get better?
Probably all of the above, but most directly, it needs to be congressional legislation. The last time Congress passed any kind of meaningful immigration legislation was in 1996 with it's called IRA. Um, Obviously, the world has changed so much since 1996.
Mm.
geopolitics, the internet, everything has changed.
Right.
So our immigration policy is really couched in like car phone days, and we very much need to be in iPhone days. And the only way that we can do that is if Congress passes comprehensive immigration reform. And I say that like every person who's been saying this since 1996, but that really is the answer. But in order to get Congress to act, I don't know, maybe that is people in the streets. I mean, it must be. It has to be something. There has to be a breaking point at a certain time.
Right. So I just have one last question for you, and hopefully it'll be a short one. But are the people that you're representing, are these people that have committed violent crimes? Are these people that, are in for murder or something? Or are the people that you're representing that have no violent or criminal background at all?
99% of the people I represent have absolutely no criminal background, have been here for 30 years, have United States citizen kids, own small businesses, own houses, own cars, pay their taxes every year. It's not quote unquote bad hombres. It's anyone. And if you look at the statistics, who ICE is picking up now, the amount of people with absolutely no criminal charges ever,
Yeah.
ever. And in immigrant, like traffic offenses count as criminal charges. I'm talking no traffic offenses. I have traffic tickets.
Right.
These are the individuals being picked up.
I got to tell you though,
majority
Rachel,
of clients, no criminal.
my wife, when she would get to the point where I mean, we went through hell and high water to get her all legal,
I'm
right? Get it
sure.
all done and stuff. Lived in LA, had to come all the way back to Miami for a meeting, had to go. I mean, we were all over the place.
Yeah.
After 15 years of being like a small business owner and employing women and this and that, my wife, her green card would come, would get to the point where it was almost ready to expire. You would think that she was being chased by the hounds of hell. My wife would go into a panic mode. My wife would make sure every I was dotted, T. What is it? Where is the disconnect? Why, and I mean, again, it's like, I'm sorry, at some point, sometimes you can't, I don't think we can fault people for saying, except, yes, all of that, the comprehensive has to happen because of all those people that we just discussed, the 20, 30 years. But also, people make choices and they make decisions. And I'm not, I know I'm privileged and all whatever, but even the most privileged person version of an immigrant like my wife would crap her pants if she even considered the notion of her green card pass before she became a citizen. I'm telling you, that's why sometimes people do look at some of these situations and go, they knew the entire time they were here illegal. They knew they were skipping court.
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah. But
knew they.
yeah, but I'm pushing back on that because that's not what we're hearing. Okay. So what we're hearing is that, and
Yes,
what
we
she
are.
just verified is that these people that
Right.
have come
No
in,
criminal background.
they've got no criminal background.
Right, but
Okay.
they're not legal,
We
Brian.
can't, we cannot, we
Brian,
cannot
they made
deport
choices along the way. They made
15 million people.
Brian, they made
Existing
choices
as a
along,
person without papers in this country is not illegal.
but it's not in compliance.
Well, if they're here and they're here legally, okay, because they've applied for asylum and they're waiting, and you pick them up and deport them, and they haven't
Not
done
all these
anything,
people are
don't
in
you have
that
a
situation.
no? But there are people that are in that situation, so it's not one box fits all.
Look, I'm
40,
not
I've
saying
had
40,
9 clients who have been deported while they are in proceedings,
that
while they
sucks.
have
Totally sucks.
applications pending.
Totally sucks. And that's what I'm saying. That sucks. And then you also probably
It
have
sucks.
clients who it does it totally. It sucks. It sucks. It sucks. It sucks. That's where the comprehensive has to happen. But there are people who literally get the notice, tear it up. There are people who literally have come through and done zero. Are we supposed to have sympathy for them? All right, but let's say, how about that person? Those individuals who literally scooted in, found family under the table, blah, blah, blah. Actually, let me ask you this. What version of these individuals, what kind of case do you have no problem with the government, aside from a hardened criminal, a murder, rape, all the bad hombres, aside from the bad hombres, is there a version of an undocumented migrant that you see the point, you understand why it's over, they just got to go home? Is there a version of that you're okay with?
Do you mean, do I see cases in which people aren't eligible for relief? Or do you mean, do I see cases where I think people should just be deported?
Uh, yeah, I guess maybe. Well, I imagine you see the cases, but I mean, as an individual, as an officer of the court, can you see where, again, aside from the bad hombres and the asylums, that the version of the person is there a version of an undocumented migrant that you're totally fine, you get it that there's a deportation here. I'm not going to jump in front of this one. I mean,
In other words, they came here illegally, and that you just stand back. You know what? You didn't follow the process. You didn't even try. You didn't bother. You didn't even drive to the judge. So you know what? I've got better people to work with. I mean, I'm summarizing what I'm hearing. I'm not summarizing saying because I agree with it.
no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so as an attorney, I have an obligation to be a zealous advocate for every client. Do I take every client who comes through my door as a client? No, I'm very candid. Do you have an avenue for relief? Yes, great. Let's work on it. If you don't, I'm sorry, I can't help you.
Mhm.
As long as the government is faithfully and evenly applying the law, the actual law, then I can accept what a result is.
Is that
But
happening?
in my practice these days, and my example, 9 clients deported in violation of the law. One of them had actually a stay of removal from an immigration judge that had been granted 4 days prior. She was deported. I mean, it's genuinely wild. But if you follow the law and you apply it evenly to every person, then a system could work. But that's not what we're seeing today. And that's what doesn't sit right with me. That's what I can't square with, especially as an officer of the court, right? I swore an oath to uphold the Constitution.
100%.
I will do that,
Mhm.
you know?
Sure.
Wow, what an interview!
Yeah.
We got to have her back, TJ.
Very grateful, or very grateful. I mean,
Intelligent,
I hope you understand,
knows it.
I'm in a unique position with my wife. I have a certain amount of insight there, and therefore I have,
Sure.
knowing many immigrants, and people who had been illegal and had, changed their status and stuff like that. I'm definitely, curious, and I'm sorry, definitely I live in a town with a 16-year-old who was murdered 2 years ago by an illegal migrant.
Oh, I thought you said it was 16 years ago. I didn't
Nope,
realize it
he
was
was
two
a
years ago.
16-year-old
Oh,
teenager,
okay,
a
okay.
kid in my daughter's class, as a matter of fact, an autistic kid.
Mm,
Jumped, he was beating his mom. This guy was beating up his mom. Yeah, and he jumped in front to try to help her. He shot him, and he shouldn't have been here.
mm.
So that's undeniable, counselor. That's undeniable,
Well,
counselor.
yeah,
And he had committed 2 crimes in the interim after he had returned to the country illegally. And this county that he lives in did not limits the amount of information, did not hand him over to the feds, didn't
mm.
alert the feds to his presence or his pickups for assault and or
Yeah, but is that the
DUI.
norm or is that the exception? Because it
That's
sounds
the
like
law here.
no, I'm saying that the exception of what happened there is probably quite the exception
Pretty
versus
effed
the
up
norm.
exception.
Well, it is. I
The
mean,
dead 16-year-old autistic kid who tried to save his mom
no, I get that.
with
I'm not saying
an
it's not
illegal
terrible.
alien.
I'm just saying that we don't throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Nope,
So,
100%. Nope, because my life wouldn't be here.
so
Yeah.
thank you, Rachel. Yeah, it was. I
Of
thought this was
course.
going to be kind of just a little bit of a back and forth. Wow, heck of a conversation.
I don't
I
think there's ever been a conversation like this that I've witnessed. I think because of the long format, and I think the willingness and the candid nature, and the professionalism of the counselor here, of Rachel. Again, seriously, I don't remember ever seeing a conversation like this with someone in Rachel's position in the media that I can remember. If it's
and it's
happened
that
somewhere else,
knowledgeable, and
yeah,
is
yeah, good
that
beyond.
knowledgeable.
I'm so
Yeah,
grateful for you rolling with the questions, Rachel. I really am. I respect. I do genuinely respect the role you play, because
Thank you.
people need to be represented. It's a big, scary world.
100%,
I get it.
100%. Thank you, Rachel, so much for joining us tonight.
Of course.
Everybody, so make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is at No Bull Media Group, as you see right there. YouTube at No Bull Media Group. Leave us a question. We obviously answer those questions. Give us a like. Tell us what you want to hear, and we will do it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. And thank you so much, Rachel. Thank you so much for
Rachel,
joining. It is
thank you.
absolutely awesome.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank
Thank you.
you. The No Bull Political Arena is on all major social media platforms. Make sure to give us and your host a follow.
Hey everybody, this is Sophia Nelson. Follow me at I am Sophia Nelson on every one of my social media platforms.
I'm Bill O'Reilly, and you can reach me at Twitter at WFBOR.
Hey, this is TJ. Follow me on X or Twitter at TJ McCormack.
This is Brian Mistro, and you can follow me on X at Brian_Mistro or follow along on Facebook at Brian.Mistro.
A No Bull Media Group member.